Okay. So today's session then, this is our little starter just to get our maths brains flowing. Factorise fully 24y squared minus 20y. Now, I'm going to ask in the chat here, when I say factorise, what do I need to do? And I can see those who put numbers into, or their answer into decimals, you've got the gist of it. What does factorise mean? My hands are
put in the bracket.
Excellent. Yeah, so my hands are a good giveaway there. Brackets, okay? So whenever you see the word factorise, okay, you need to have brackets. Nice and clear on your answer line, boom. We're going to put brackets in there, okay? Now, this is the key word here. It says factorise fully. So when we do something fully, essentially what it means is we need the biggest number on the outside. So when I say the biggest number that goes into both 24 and 20 needs to go on the outside of the brackets. Now, what's really encouraging for me, I can see Darcy, Kate, Sam and Karen, you've all done this. You've got the number 4 on the outside of your brackets, okay? Now, that's a good start. Now, what else I noticed that is in both of these terms, okay, is this here, the letter Y, okay? So essentially, what goes into both of them needs to be on the outside. So we know the number 4 goes into both of these terms, but we also can see the letter Y goes into both. So what I'm going to do is put the letter Y on the outside there. So we've got 4Y because 4Y goes into 24y squared, but it also goes into 20y. Okay, that's the outside of the bracket done. Now what we're going to look at is completing the inside of the bracket. Okay, so I have to think, how do I get from 4 up to 24? Well, I can see all of you there have got 6. Excellent. Now, I want to get from y up to y squared, or I want to create y squared, so I need to times it by another y. Okay, after that, we can focus on the second part. We've got a little subtract symbol there, so put a little minus there. Now I want to get from 4 up to 20, well, I have to times it by 5. Now, this is crucial. Can you see that I've got a y there? I don't need to put another y inside of the bracket because that y is on the edge, on the outside, okay? So essentially, that is me done, fully factorized. I've got the biggest term on, 4 and a y on the outside, and then 6y minus 5 on the inside. Like I said earlier, that would be a 2-mark question, okay? 2 marks. Now, that's something that will come with practice, okay? We can do that because we know for a fact, I don't have the sheets with me, but we know factorizing will be coming up, so we can practice that fully in classrooms, lots of worksheets on that, and lots of starter activities on that. Now, that's just to get our brains warmed up, and you'll see hopefully why in a minute, but we're going to look at some algebra here, where we're going to collect some terms, which is also known as simplifying, okay? So we're going to do a bit of algebra there. We're then going to look at BIDMAS, some estimation, and then we're going to look at doing area of a compound shape. So 4 main topics. Now, I don't know if this will last the full 2 hours because from the experience that I've had with you guys so far, you guys pick things up quite well. So I think we're going to have some good, I'm confident, let's put it that way. Okay, but yeah, let's crack on with collecting terms. Now, when we simplify, I think it's a good place to start by grouping things together. And the reason why we simplify is because it's more efficient. It's quicker for me to write 6m than it is to write 6 times m, for example. That's why we simplify. Let's have a look at 4 times 3 times c. Well, let's do the numbers first. 4 times 3 is 12. Times it by c is going to give me 12c. Okay. H plus h plus h gives me 3h. H times h times h gives me h cubed, because they're being times together. So that's really important, the fact that we know the difference between those. So if we add them, it gives me 3 lots of h, or the number first. But if we're timesing them, it's an indice, okay? It's a little number to the power of. And then we've got here 3 times 4. Remember, we're in a maths session, so we do the numbers first. 3 times 4 is 12. X times x is x squared. Okay, so that's how we simplify. Because I don't know, in the exam, it could be a nice little simplify one mark where it'll just say simplify h plus h plus h. 1 mark, put your answer in, move on. Okay, so it could be that. So we're going to practice that now. I want to see what you guys can do. Okay. So I'm going to get you guys to go back onto Desmos, and I want you to practice. How many have I got for you guys to do? Let's have a look on the screen. 6 of them. Okay, I want you to practice those 6. Now, because I'm a nice guy, I'll leave my PowerPoint back on my working out page so you can see what I've done. But I want you to simplify those terms, group them together, make them nice, bish, bash, bosh. Okay, I can see Darcy's flying through them already. I can see Grace is there, brilliant stuff. But I'm going to give you time to do this. I know people work at different speeds. I don't want to rush people. So I'll give you 2 minutes or so. Well, no, I'll give you 3 minutes because that gives you 30 seconds each. But if I can see lots of answers have come through, I'll cut that time a little bit shorter. Okay, guys, we're going to quickly rattle through these. I believe lots of you got your answers filtered through. I'm going to wait a little bit longer just to allow them to come through. Yeah, when we add them, the number comes first. And then if we're timesing them, we have a little power to the power of, for example. So h plus h plus h is 3h. H times by h times by h gives you h cubed. Okay. So these are the 6 that you guys had. So look and listen carefully, because what I'll try and do is explain them a little bit more better than just rushing through them. So 8 times d, by simply putting 8d, it's summarizing it together, it's simplifying it, saying I've got 8 lots of d. Okay, so 8d for the first one. For the second one, remember we're dealing with the numbers first. So 10 times 3 is 30. 30 times by f is going to be 30f. Now, these C and D are the crucial ones. We need to get this right. So C, y times y times y times y is y to the power of 4. Because when we multiply, we're creating like x times x is x squared, for example. Okay, so y times y times y times y, I think, is y to the power of 4. Now, y plus y, well, that's simple. I've got 2 lots of y. I've got 2y. Okay, I've got 2. Can't think of anything beginning with y. Can't think of anything beginning with y. That's weird. All right, anyway, next time, let's look at this. So 6 times by 4 is 24. C times C times C is C to the power of 3, or C cubed, okay? And then the final one that we've got is 5 times 4 times 2. Remember, we've got to deal with all those numbers. So 5 times 4 is 20. Times it by 2 is 40. And then I've got d times d, which gives me d squared. Happy days. Now, they're probably only going to be worth 1 mark in an exam. So it's not something you're going to have to stress over about, oh no, I've got that wrong, I've lost loads of marks. But you think, right, that's an extra mark in your bag. That's another mark in it. They add up. So that's why it's quite important for us to have those. Now, we are now going to look at collecting like for like terms. We're going to simplify a long list of algebra, I want to simplify it into its most simplistic form, okay? And we do that by grouping things together. So similar, if I was to go shopping and I had two, instead of having all my apples and bananas mixed together, I put all my apples in one basket, put all my bananas in another. Essentially, that's what we do. We're grouping one set of things together, and then we're grouping the other set of things together. And the best way to do that really is by circling what we need to do. So I've got 6x here, and then minus 2x. Now, this is crucial. Look what I'm doing here. I'm including the symbol to the left, because that's my instruction. That tells me what to do. So I've got 6x minus 2x. Well, that leaves me with 4x, okay? If I've got 6 of them, I take 2 away, I'm left with 4, okay? And then I'm going to change my colour of my pen here. I've got minus 5y plus 2y. So we know we're dealing with the y's, so I've just got to focus on minus 5 plus 2. Well, minus 5 plus 2 is actually going to be minus 3, okay? And remember, we're dealing with the y's, so it's going to be minus 3y. Now, that's probably worth 2 marks. 1 mark for dealing with the x's and getting that value, and a second mark for dealing with the y's and getting minus 3y. Putting them together gives us our final answer. So 4x minus 3y. Now, if you drop down a level for let's say that's A, and now we're going to look at B. Exactly the same principle, but we're dealing with a few more things this time. Right, let's focus with the c squareds. And you'll notice I'm saying let's focus on the c squareds. I'm not saying let's focus on c, because c squared and 5c, they're different. They're not, they're part of the same family, but one's like a set of brothers and then there's cousins or something like that, okay? So 8c squared plus 2c squared. So 8 plus 2 gives me 10. So I've got 10c squared, okay? That's my first bit done. Now let's go for a nice, where's my pen gone at the bottom there? Let's go for purple. So I've got plus 5c plus 2c. Well, 5 add 2 is 7, and it's going to be plus 7c. Final one that I've got, we'll go for green. I'll put a little cloud around this, is minus 2 add 6. So minus 2 add 6 is plus 4. And there we go. So there's where we've got 3 different groups. Now, I'm not putting it all together. I'm keeping my c squareds and my c separately. They're different, okay? These two, c squared and c, they do not belong together. No. Okay? They have to stay separate. We do not put them in the same group. Really important to remember that. Okay? Now, that's it. That's essentially it. I've grouped them together based on their collectives, and then we're good to go. Now, I'm going to show you one more example whereby, slightly different. We have some brackets. What do we do when we see brackets? This links back to what we did on Thursday. When you see a set of brackets with a number on the outside, you multiply them away, okay? You need to get rid of those brackets, because just simply doing that gets you a mark, okay? So let's do that first. So 2 times by 6 is 12, and then I've got 12x, okay? 2 times by minus 5, well, that's going to be minus 10. And then those, the brackets are gone. Now, do what the cool thing is here. If you've got 12x minus 10, that's a mark. Just for doing that, not doing anything more, you pick up a mark for expanding those brackets, okay? Then bring down the rest of it. So we've got minus 2x plus 4, okay? Now what do I do? Well, I group them together. So let's change the colour of my pen here. So I've got 12x minus 2x. You notice, guys, once again, I'm including the symbol to the left. 12 take away 2 is 10, so it's going to be 10x. And then the last little bit, we'll do it in purple. Minus 10, add 4. Minus 10, add 4. Well, that's going to be minus 6. It's getting up there. There we go. So how many marks do you reckon that's worth? I think that's pushing 3 marks for expanding the brackets and then grouping your terms together. So 10x minus 6. There we go. Now, I've got how many questions for you guys to do? Well, I think I've got a few for you here, all taken from exam questions. So these are going to keep you busy for a little bit of time. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste it so you guys have those questions on Desmos now. But I want you to just get stuck in and just give them your best effort. Now, what I do encourage you to do, write out the question, because obviously you can't circle or annotate the screen in front of you. But on a pen and paper, a notepad, you can circle the terms, group them together, and that'll give you your best chance of success. Okay, so you've got plenty of time now. Don't feel like you're going to be rushed. Write out the questions if you need to, annotate them, circle them. And then if you're not getting the answers right when we go through them, you can feed back to me and say, send a picture of you working out and I can give you feedback, okay? So right, guys, crack on with that Desmos activity. I'm putting a link in the chat again. I just want to see what you guys can create, see if you can get some lovely answers for me, okay? I can see 8 of you are where you need to be, which is brilliant. Really good stuff. Okay, I'll shut up. I'll let you guys focus, and I'll be back when I can see most of us have answered these questions. Hey guys, I can see there's a handful of you on the last two questions, 6 of you in total on the last two, which is good. How do you feel about these questions? If you could summarize these questions in like an emoji or a GIF or a word or a face or whatever it may be, how would you feel? Like if this came up in an exam, what would you be thinking? Because that's probably a good way to judge what you need to focus your revision on. If you look at these questions like, oh, I'm not a fan of these, definitely spend a bit more time on these. If you're there like, yep, really happy with these, quite confident, you can put your time elsewhere. Kate's feeling pretty happy with them. Good. Obviously, my perfect scenario is where most of us are quite happy with them and we feel confident. But I know we all have different strengths and weaknesses, and this is, algebra, and it can be quite interesting. The good thing is, having done these sessions over Easter, I've got a really good idea of what I can put into my starters. Typically, what students are confident with, not so confident with, what they could do with a bit of a refresher on, and I can make some bang-in resources. Okay, Mo, is your hand up, or is it accidentally up? Or
Sam, the question 4, I'm quite confused. I don't know how to do it.
question 4. Oh, is that the one where there's brackets? And okay, no, I see exactly which one you mean. It's an interesting one, but I will go through that one. Don't worry. Let me just have a look then. How many people have answered the last question? Let me just see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people so far. Oh, that's good though. I'm just going to put this out there. All of you who answered the last question so far have got the exact same answer, which to me says, right, you've all nailed it, which is really good because that's a 3-mark question. Okay, really good stuff that is. Happy days. Right, I'm going to start at the top. Okay, so bring your attention back to the PowerPoint. If you've not fully finished the questions, don't worry, don't stress. It's just the nature of the game that I've got to pace it at the level of the majority rather than the minority, but hey ho. In an exam, what do you do when you see a question like this? Well, you're going to have to be prepared to just take your time to understand, right, I need to group things together. Okay, when it says simplify, group it together. So 5a minus a. If I've got 5 of them, or 5 apples, I'm taking one away. I'm going to be left with 4. So it's going to be 4, 4a, and then I've got plus 2 plus 9. Well, that's going to be plus 11 because 2 add 9 is 11. So 4a plus 11. Now, I want to say that's a 2-mark question, but I can't remember when I pulled these off of the exam paper, but I think that's a 2-mark question. Okay, so 1 mark for 4a and then a 2nd mark for plus 11. Okay, here we go. 4, open brackets, 2c plus 3 minus 5c minus 1. Now, step 1, expand the bracket. So I've got 4 times by 2c. Well, that's going to be 8c. And then I've got 4 times by 3, which is 12. Minus, now these brackets here, don't stress too much about them. That's just keeping the 5c minus 1 together by itself, but we can get rid of them, okay? We can keep it as 5c minus 1 like that, okay? Now, once again, simply for expanding those brackets correctly, you've picked up a mark. So if on your piece of paper you've got 8c plus 12 written down, great, because you've picked up a mark simply by expanding those brackets. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to group them together. So 8c minus 5c. So 8 take away 5 will leave me with 3c. And then what do I have after that? I've got plus 12 minus 1. So that's going to be 12 take away 1 is 11, which is a positive number, so plus 11. 3c plus 11. So I expanded the brackets. I've grouped my c's together. I've grouped my whole numbers together. Boom, 3c plus 11. Now, I'm kind of being a bit lazy. I should be checking. How are we getting on here? 3 C's. You can see some of it, some of us getting the 3 C's, So once we've expanded, make sure we group them together. Now, make sure we know that we're only expanding that bracket there. This bracket has no number on the outside, okay? So that stays as it is, okay? And that's something where we may have made a mistake slightly. Right, same again here. We only expand this first bit here. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 3 is 15. Then I've got minus x plus 2. So once again, I've expanded those brackets. So I've picked up a mark for doing that. Thank you, examiner. Now I'm going to group my things together. So 5x minus x. So that's going to be 4x. And then I've got, go for this colour here, plus 15 plus 2. That's going to be plus 17. 4x plus 17. 4x plus 17. So we do have a bit of variance with these, but we're not looking bad. We're not looking bad. It's just about doing that final little bit. And I can think everyone there has at least picked up those the expand marks, which is nice. Like I say, even if you're unsure, expand and get stuck in. Now, Mo, was this the question that you said was a bit off-putting, a bit bizarre?
Yes.
Okay. No, don't worry, that's fine. I quite like this question, but I'm a bit weird. Right, let me just write it out as best as I can. Now, this question sort of involves a bit of BIDMAS, which is going to come up later. But basically, what we need to do is tackle some of the important things first. Okay, so let's take BIDMAS. We're going to look at this in a little bit, but brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Now, do we have brackets? Yes. So straight away, do what's inside of those brackets. So 2 times by 4a gives me 8a, okay? And then plus 9. Now, I can see this is a division, okay? So what I'm going to quickly do, I'm going to quickly do 15a divided by 3. So imagine you've got 15 apples. You share it between 3 people. How many apples do they get each? Well, it's essentially going to be 15 divided by 3, which is 5. So it's going to be plus 5a. So what we need to do is actually just solve this little sum here. Solve that sum, and then boom, look at that. 1 mark for this, and then a second mark for that. And then once we've done that, we have to group them together. Let me get my black pen at the bottom. There we go. So 8a plus 5a is 13a. And then I've got plus 9 take away 7. So 9 take away 7 is 2. So it's going to be plus 2. Okay. Now, this is definitely a topic I like doing in a classroom because I can be quite hands-on at the board, like poking things, pushing things, pointing at things. So if you've understood what I've gotten through there, that's good. But obviously don't beat yourself up if you haven't, because I know in the future in classrooms, I'll be planning it into lessons. And essentially when I plan a lesson, every teacher teaches it. That's how it works at Reseath, okay? So don't worry, even if I don't teach you, your teacher will have an opportunity to go through some questions like this in the board. Now, this is the final question I got you guys to do, and it was a 3-marker, okay? Similar to this one, this was a 3-mark question. So if you've got 13a plus 2, you got 2 marks, 3 marks, and then similar to this one here. So I don't know if you guys can see the screen very well. You kind of can't actually, can you? So let me make it bigger. So 3a squared plus 7a plus 3 minus a squared plus 8a minus 4. Whew. You can understand why we simplify. The amount of energy to say that and dry that down compared to just bunching it together makes a lot of sense. So let's circle 3a squared minus a squared. Well, that's going to be 3. Take away 1 will leave me with 2. So it's going to be 2a squared. Next bit, I've got plus 7a plus 8a. Well, that's going to be plus 15a. And then the final bit, I've got plus 3 minus 4. So 3 take away 4 is minus 1. So that's a bit of a juicy question there, actually, to finish on. But like I said earlier, the 4 answers that I saw earlier, everyone looked like they got it spot on. So 3 marks, 1 mark for each bit. So don't worry if you've got 2a plus 15a plus 1. Like, you may have dropped that last mark, but you picked up 2 along the way. So what I encourage you guys to do with a question like this, group them together, perform the maths as best as you can with the question you've got in front of you, with the numbers you've got, and try and get terms. And then if the terms are spot on, happy days, you picked up full marks. If you've got one slightly wrong, you're still going to pick up marks, okay? Like I said, I'm going to plan these lessons, this topic, into starters. So you will see questions like this again. And what I hope is that you've had that process in time and you'll get it right in the classroom with confidence. Some students who aren't here today might struggle because that'll be the first time they've seen it in a while. But you guys being here, being attentive, hopefully pays off for you in the future. Right, that is simplifying and grouping things together, collecting terms. So that's algebra. We are now going to look at BIDMAS, brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And this is known as the order of operations. Sounds a bit bizarre thinking of operations and such, but basically each symbol in maths has a different element of power. Some symbols are stronger and more powerful than others, for example. So you have to do them first. And the reason why BIDMAS exists is because basically you could give a maths question to someone in Japan, to someone in Tokyo, someone in Australia, and then someone in Croatia. They would all answer it the same way because of BIDMAS. It's like the international rule, okay? So that's why BIDMAS is important, because they'd all answer it in the same way and get the same answer. Now, I've got some examples here we're going to work through. And I don't know if I mentioned this actually. This is going to come up on paper 1 and 2. So it's definitely a topic we need to put time and attention to because it's going to come up twice. So essentially, what does BIDMAS mean? Certain symbols are more important than others. So if we see a set of brackets, do them first. Indices are things like 5 squared, for example. We do that first. So 5 squared would be 25, for example. Okay, another example of like an indice, you might see something like this. That is also known as like others, like not an indice per se, but it's another symbol that we need to focus on. So brackets, an indice, divide, multiply, addition, subtraction. Okay, right. This is how I tackle BIDMAS. I'll show you my ways. So what I do is I underline the bit that I need to do first. So multiplication is stronger than subtraction, so I'm going to do 3 times 5 first, which gives me 15. So I've got to do 3, take away 15, which gives me minus 12. Okay, so I focus on the bit I need to do first, I drop it down, and then I complete the sum. Okay, so once again, let's have a look at it. Are there any brackets? No, there's an indice though. So I'm going to do 3 squared. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then you'll notice, guys, look what I do. I bring the rest of the question down, and then I focus on what else is important. What else do I need to do next? So, well, 4 times 9, that's the important bit. That's BIDMAS. That's what I need to do next. So 4 times 9 is 36. Then I've got to do 11 add. So 11 add 36, which gives me 47. Okay. So that's how I tackle BIDMAS. I focus on the bit I need to do. I get my answer, and then I kind of drop it down a few levels. That's why, you know, working out space is quite important with this. So make sure you got your pen and paper handy. Now look at this bad boy. Woo! Woo! Let's take our time. Focus on the important stuff. So straight away, BIDMAS. What's staring at me? A pair of brackets. Now this is important actually. When we do the brackets, we still have to apply the rules of BIDMAS inside of it. So we can see there's brackets here, right? I still have to do this bit first because multiplication is stronger than subtraction. So 2 times 3 is 6, okay? So I've got 7 times 10 minus 6 minus 3 squared. Still got my brackets. So what am I going to do? I'm going to focus on doing this bit first. So 10 take away 6 is 4. I have completed the brackets. I've only got one number left in there, so I can get rid of them now. So I've got 7 times 4 minus 3 squared. Choose another colour now. Well, hopefully you guys agree this is an indice, so that comes next. So 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. So I've got 7 times 4 take away 9. Hopefully you guys agree that 7 times 4 is my priority now. So 7 times 4 Oh my word, I've gone blank there. 28. There we go. Oh, that would have been embarrassing. 7 times 4 is 28. Take away 9. Will that leave me with 19? Oh. You can see though, every step down I make through that bid maths, it's getting shorter and shorter, neater and neater until I'm left with quite a nice sum at the end. But that's bid maths to the next level. Like, I'm not joking, that's bid maths to the highest level in terms of complexity. You've got brackets, indices, multiplication, subtraction, etc., etc. And then you've got 4 different things. But yeah, you'll notice as I work through towards the bottom of that bid maths question, the question's getting neater and neater. I just drop it down a level and I focus on what's next important. So I think as a good teacher would give you top tips, my top tip, look at the question, identify what you need to do first, bring it down a level, look at the question again. What do you need to do first? Answer that bit, drop it down and rinse and repeat. And eventually, like I said, you're going to be left with something that's quite simple. Boom. I'm going to show you just one last one. But now we have seen in the past decimals pop up with a bid maths question, and this could come up on paper 1 more than likely. So let's just be prepared for that. So brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, right? Multiplication. So I have to do 3.5 times 4. Well, what I'm going to quickly do is do 35 times 4, because let me just explain why. Some of you may be pretty sharp with your decimals, okay? But to make my life easier, sometimes I treat it as a whole number and then bring the decimal back in at the end. So 4 times 3 is 12. Add the 0 on. 4 times 5 is 2. Is 20, sorry. Put the 0 there. Excellent. Add them together is 140. Bring the 1 decimal place back in, so it becomes 14. So I've got 7.2 add, well, the answer to that we've established was 14. And then 7.2 add 14. Now, this is something I want to just make clear, because some of you may be able to do that off your dome, in your head, happy days. Some of you sometimes will use addition and the column method. Make sure you get your numbers in the right place. So 14, make sure the numbers are lined up in the right place. 0 add 2 is 2, decimal point. 4 add 7 is 11, carry the 1. 1 add 1 is 2. So my final answer there is 21.2. The amount of times I'll see students put 7.2 here, and then they'll get 8.6 or something crazy. Okay, so make sure when we do our sums like that, we're doing it as neat and as tidy as possible. Okay, but yeah, 21.2. So we could see bid maths appear in terms of decimals. The same rules, but obviously that added level of complexity because you're dealing with some decimal numbers. But once again, if we know it's going to come up, we have to prepare for it. And that's what I'm here for today, to show you the ways in which I see bid maths has appeared in the past on a set of papers. So let me just check the questions I've got for you guys. Okay, I've got 4 for you to do, I believe. Yes. Yes, 4. Okay. So guys, I want you to work through these 4 as best as you can, and I will just shut up. I'll let you focus, but just try and put into action what you can do. Okay. I've just realised in the chat you got all your funky faces as well. Okay, guys, crack on. I'll come back in a moment, check on how we're getting on, and then we'll run through these questions together. But guys, I appreciate all the effort and energy putting in so far. Doing really well. So let's keep it going. Any questions, feel free to message me directly, pop up in the chat. You know, I'm here to help. Hey guys, so I've just seen Leisha and Mo. You've said the last two are hard and confusing. I completely understand because they definitely go up a notch. So what I want you to do with particularly exam question 2, is it called? Yeah, exam question 2. Try and do something with those numbers. Because I'm telling you now, that's a 3-mark question. So leaving it blank, that's guaranteed 0 marks. If you attempt it and get some of the numbers right, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them. If you say, oh, right, I've generated this number from the brackets, that would be worth something on the mark scheme. And that is a mark. That could be 2 marks. So you may not have a final idea of the final answer, but if you do a little bit of something with the numbers, you could generate something. So give it a go on your pen and paper. When I go through it, you can be like, oh yeah, I got that number. All right, yeah, okay, right, 1 mark, happy days. But yeah, I think what's really good, or what I hope for from my students and from you guys, is to be able to answer a question confidently and get the right answer. But if you are unable to get the right answer, you are able to still gain some marks on the question by giving it a go. That's my hope. Because if you're picking up marks, even on questions you're not too sure on, you're still doing pretty decent. Okay, Ace Mo, thank you for letting me know. We'll check if that number comes up or is close to the answer. But I'm going to give it another minute just to finish off, and then we will look at going through these. So 1 more minute, and then we'll crack on, review them, and move on to some estimations. Okay, I'm going to have a quick swig of my drink, and then we'll look at these questions. Now, what I'm encouraged by is that for the nice warm-up questions and the ones which, I'm not going to say warm-up actually, but for the standard bid maths, we're doing really well, okay? Now, I'm going to quickly just go through these. Now, I'm not going to go through them in loads of detail because every one of you on Desmos has got these right, so I don't want to spend loads of time on it. But if anyone is watching back the recording and you couldn't make it today, they still need to be able to see how to answer it. So bid maths means we do the division first. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I've got 26 plus 2, take away 3. Well, 26 add 2 is 28. Take away 3 is 25. Okay? Okay. Next up, we've got 9 plus 2 and 15 divided by 3. So we've got to do them first, right? So 9 times 2, 18. 15 divided by 3 is 5. We're adding them together. So that gives me 23. Okay. So yeah, you guys all nailed that. And this one, legitimately, it was an exam question. So this is legit an exam question that came up in a past paper. Do multiplication first. So 3 times 5 is 15. 4 plus 15, take away 1. Well, 4 plus 15 is 19. Take away 1 is 18. Now, I'm going to say this just before we get into the heavier questions. Maths is a hard subject. Doing it all in your head makes it even more difficult. So everything you think or say, write it down. Because when it's written down, it takes that heavy load off of your mind and puts it onto the paper. And it allows your mind to have that more free space. Okay? So always write things down. Now, this is the one where suddenly I think you guys are like, whoa, what is this? But let me show you what I would do and how to pick up the marks, okay? So straight away, I can see a pair of brackets. So I need to focus on what's happening inside the brackets first. Remember, the rules of bid maths still apply. So I have to do 5 times 2 first, which gives me 10. Okay, so I'm going to be left with 13 minus 10 squared, and then that, and then that. Okay, but I've still got my brackets, so I still need to focus on that. So what am I left with? I'm left with 13 minus 10, which is 3. So I'm going to be 3 squared, and then square root of 121, take away 3 squared. Now, indices, well, 3 squared is, I'm going to do it in, let's go for a different color, sorry. Go for dark blue. So 3 squared is 9. Now, this one here, this is a non-calculator paper, right? Does anyone know what the square root of 121 is?
Is it 11?
Is 11. Excellent, guys. Spot on. So it's going to be 11, take away 9, which leaves me with a final answer of 2. Now, I remember this mark scheme vividly because I marked it not too long ago, actually. And I'm going to show you the 3 numbers you need to pick up a mark. You need the number 11, the number 9, and the number 2. They are your 3 marks. So your final answer of 2 gets you all 3. If you've got the number 9, that's 1 mark. And if you've got the number 11, that is also 1 mark. So let's say, for example, you have no idea what is going on over here. Okay, you're there like, what is this? Yeah, you're straight face, you have no idea. But you know the square root of 121 is 11. If you wrote down that number 11, that's the examiner going, yep, perfect. So it doesn't even matter if you followed the rules of BidMath at that point. If you know the square root of 121 is 11, you've written that down, that's 1 mark. Obviously, the aim of the game is to try and get maximum marks. But if you are genuinely confused and not sure, by answering and putting some numbers down that are correct, you're picking up marks. Okay? But yeah, final answer of 2 for that one. I see Darcy, you're typing a message, is that right? No? Oh. If you guys got any questions about anything today, message me on Teams or send me a picture or anything afterwards. That's fine. I'm happy to help. I'm going to show you guys a funny picture in a bit, actually. You guys will find it funny. Let's do this last one. So this is a decimal. So we've got 25.8 plus 12.6 divided by 2. So once again, bid maths, but we've got to use, well, we've got decimals in front of us. So addition or division, well, we should know division comes first. So 12.6 divided by 2. Well, half of 12 is 6. 0.6 divided by 2 would be 0.3. So it's going to be 6.3. So it's 25.8 add 6.3. So I'm going to do that up here, actually. So 25.8. Can you guys see me leaning in? I'm such an, I'm so cool. 6.3, look how intense this is, okay? 8 add 3 is 11, carry the 1. Make sure we get the decimal point in there as well. 5 add 6 is 11, add the 1 gives me 12, so a little 2 there, carry the 1. 2 add 1 is 3. So my final answer is 32.1. Now, guys, I'm a maths teacher. I've taught maths now consistently for the last 4 years. Even then, I'm still really focused. I've set it up correctly and I'm taking my time as I work through it, okay? So if I'm doing that, you guys should get into the habit of doing that as well. Don't feel like, oh, I'm going to rush it because you could lose marks and we don't want that. Okay, I don't think I actually put this one onto Desmos. I think I may have messed up and missed that question out. I apologize. So close, but I messed it up. Now, it is just an hour. Do you want to have a 2-minute break or do you want to continue? I'm going to put it to the chat. So let's have a look at some responses. Do you want to continue or have a little 2-minute break? I'm easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Have a little break. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a little break's quite good. Have a little break. Give your mind a break. So should we come back in 5 minutes? Let's come back in 5 minutes. Okay, so 11:08-ish. Okay, and if you guys aren't very good at time, I'll just talk when we're back and you go listen out for me, okay? Right, I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Well done, good first half. I'll catch you guys in 5. Okay, guys, come back to the PowerPoint, to the session. I'm going to quickly put a picture into the Teams chat, right? So I'm not sure if some of you know, but I've recently bought a house and it's a big project. So I'm decorating it at the moment. Yesterday, I tried to take the skirting boards off of the walls. Now, look at what happened to my hammer that I was using. I've put a picture in the chat so you guys can see it. This is my welcome back discussion. I absolutely bent the hammer. I don't even know how. It was the last skirting board as well. It's not even my hammer, it's my friend's, and I've completely bent it to the point where it looks like it's feeling sorry for itself. But yeah. So it turns out I have now broken. What have I broken? My friend's pitchfork, his spade. I've lost something, and I've also broken a hammer. So 4 things I've demolished at the moment. Honestly. So I'm kind of glad that I'm not in the house today. I can actually come away and do some maths because I can't break anything here, as far as I'm aware. Okay, right, guys. Let me just give you a little introduction into estimation. So it's going to come up on paper 1. Okay, so paper 1, non-calculator paper. So when you're working with these questions, try to avoid using a calculator. Okay, try and use just what's in here. Now, when we say estimate, we round the number. We basically round to the first number in the, I'm just kind of wording it. I want to say significant figure, but I think that sometimes confuses a student. What we essentially need to do is round the numbers to make them nicer. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. So 178, we round it to the first significant figure. So the number 1 is the first number. What is the 7 going to do to the 1? It's going to round it up. Remember, if it's 5 or more, it rounds it up. If it's 4 or less, the number stays the same. Okay, so the 7 is going to round the 1 up to a 2, and we round the rest of the number to 0. So it becomes 200. 34. Well, the 4, okay, is going to keep the 3 the same. So it stays as 3, and then the rest of the number goes to 0. So it becomes 200. Take away 30 gives me 170. That is my estimated answer. Now, when we estimate, we're making the numbers nicer, and we should get a nice answer. We shouldn't get anything specific, so it often ends in a 0. That's a good sign, okay? So this is a key word here, estimate or approximate. Those 2 words means make them nicer, and really, you should be thinking, oh, good, I can make these numbers nicer. It should be making your life easier, okay? I didn't realise there was a question underneath that I've covered up. Uh-oh. Okay, right, let me just quickly do that over here. So what was it? 200 take away 30 equals 170. Okay, right. Okay, now we've got that. I can quickly just get rid of this stuff. Okay, bear with me a second so you can see the question. There we go. So this is right. I'm not just saying this to try and get your attention, but this question here, very common. When I looked online for past AQA exam questions for estimate, loads of them were like this, like so many. So I've taken one, changed the numbers a bit, and you'll see now how we work through it. So 4.4 times by 19.2 divided by 14.9. So if each one of these, got to round it to one round it to one significant figure. So 4. What is the 4 going to do to the 4? It's going to keep it the same. So the 4 stays just as 4, 4.0 if you wish, but yeah, 4. 19.2. Well, there's my first number. The 9 is going to bump it up to a 2, and then the rest of the number becomes 0. So it's going to be 20.0, or simply 20. And then the last bit, this number down here, there's my first number. The 4 is going to keep it the same, so it stays as 1. The rest of the number becomes 0, so it becomes 10.0, or simply just 10. Once we've done that, you pick up marks for this. If you estimate, you pick up marks. Now, actually getting the final answer is the important bit to get all the marks. So 4 times 20 is 80. 80 divided by 10 is 8. So my final answer is 8. But I want to say this is maybe a 2 or a 3 mark question. You pick up marks for estimating these numbers. If you get those numbers right by estimating them accurately, you pick up a mark. And then if you solve the sum and get the final answer, obviously you'll get maximum marks, okay? So the crucial thing here, make the numbers nicer. Round to one significant figure. Now, basically, that's the first number. So see what you need to do to that first number. Does it go up or does it stay the same? And then fill the rest of the number in with zeros. Once you've got that, you'll arrive with a nice looking sum, and then you complete that sum, okay? Now, let me just have a look at these exam questions here. You can see that one's similar to, look, can you see how they're quite similar? This isn't me being picky or choosy. This is me legitimately picking exam questions that come up when I type in the word estimate. So I'm going to get you to work through these. Now, I've realized I've only given 2 examples. Maybe I should have done a little bit more, but if you guys practice, it's a good way to develop those skills, okay? So there are 5 for you to do. Get stuck into them, give them a go. Like I said, I know I probably should have done a few more examples, but I think you guys are going to impress me regardless, okay? So get stuck in. I'm put a link back into Desmos now. See what we can do, guys, okay? You've been phenomenal so far. Really impressed with your efforts. So let's continue this good streak that we're on. And don't make me get my hammer out. Guys, just make sure in case I'm completely missing. Oh no, right, okay, just make sure I don't want to. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, guys, let me have a little look at these questions. Last question. So we've had 3 answers so far. Now, once again, it might be a topic that we're just not struggling with, just practicing, really, isn't it? But it's fine. Like, this is why we're here. We're here to practice, pick up some of the skills and the necessary methods that we need, and then go from there. Now, one of the questions, you do need a calculator. So I have got my calculator ready. I'm going to give you 1 more minute. So try and finish the question you're on, and then we'll go through these together. Okay. And I'll go step by step, hopefully make sense of them. And then hopefully you can see where I picked up my answer from along the way. Okay. I'm put my webcam back on. Oh, the weather's not good today. Anyway, you guys ready to rock and roll? Yeah. Okay. Right. By rounding each number to the nearest 10, estimate the value of 262 divided by 19.8. So sometimes it will say round to the nearest 10 or to the nearest 100, maybe. So for that, identify the tens column, okay? That's crucial. So to the nearest 10. Oh, I might have scuppered you guys up a bit here because my examples didn't include that, did it? Let me just explain what that means then. So when it says to the nearest 10, it means like this column here, the tens column, okay? So to the nearest 10, 262. I do apologize because if some of you have put 300, that's my poor explanation. Yeah, So to the nearest 10, that's the tens column. So the 2 is going to keep the 6 the same. So it's going to be 260. Okay. And then divided by, well, the 9 is going to bump up the 1 to a 2. So it becomes 260 divided by 20. Now, if you've put 300 divided by 20, that's because of that's my fault. Okay. That's completely understandable why you've done that. That's my bad. Okay. But yeah, 260 is rounded to the nearest 10. Okay. 260, well, let's just get rid of those zeros, make my life that little bit easier. 26 divided by 2 is 13. So there is my answer of 13, okay? If you've got 260 or 20 written down, you've rounded and you would have picked up a mark. If you've got 13, that's where you pick up your maximum marks, okay? The next one, it does say again here, doesn't it? Round to the nearest 10. So do you know when teachers say read the question carefully? I suppose that's what we mean. So when we say estimate, okay, and to the nearest 10, we have to do that. So 61 goes to 60. 47 goes up to 50. Divided by 102, that's going to be 100. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I've got those rounded to the nearest 10. I'm now going to complete the sum. So 6 times 5 is 30. Add in those 2 zeros, it becomes 3,000 divided by 100. And whenever you're dividing and you've got zeros, top and bottom or side by side, like I did in the previous one, they cancel each other out. So we're left with 30 divided by 1, which gives me 30. Ta-da! So that one there, dealing with very big numbers, but by cancelling them out, you're left with a nice sum to do at the end. 30 divided by 1, well, it's going to leave you with 30. Because remember, guys, any number divided by 1 stays the same. Okay? But yeah, once again, marks for rounding effectively. All the marks for getting this final answer correct. Okay, by rounding each number to one significant figure. So this is where we're talking about the start. So 78 times by 11.6 over 391. Okay, so let's make these numbers nicer. 78, well, one significant figure, that's going to go up to 80. 11.6, well, that one here is going to stay the same, so it's going to be 10. 391, well, the 3 is going to be rounded up because of the 9 to 400. So I've got 80 times by 10. So once again, let's just do this down here. So 8 times 1 is 8. 2 zeros, 800. Divide it by 400. Cancel the zeros out. 8 divided by 4, that's going to give me an answer of 2. It's interesting, when you estimate, the numbers go from quite complicated to actually quite simple and quite nice in the end. So yeah, if you've got 1 or 2 of these, 80 or 10 or 400, you've picked up marks, okay? Let me just scroll through to this. So what was question number 3, that one, wasn't it? We're looking pretty good, if I'm honest. We're looking pretty good. But yeah, make sure first significant figure is the first number, okay? So when it says first significant figure, it's the first number, and then you look at to the right. Does it go up or does it stay the same? Okay, use your calculator to work out the exact value of 18,953 times by 437 divided by divided by 11. So take that, divided by 11. 752,951, which all of you got. Now, this is a calculator question. Unfortunately, we know it's not going to look on a calculator, but we can use here one significant figure. So keep doing that. 18,953. Well, the 1 is going to get rounded up to a 2, and then the rest of the number becomes zeros. That becomes 20,000. 437, well, the 3 will mean the 4 stays the same. So that becomes 4, and then 0, 0, so that's 400. And then 11, the 1's going to keep the same, so it stays to 10. So those numbers have become nicer. 2 times 4 is 8. And then we've got how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Divided by 10. Cancel out a 0. So my final answer is going to be 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to like me or not, but I don't think a question like that will come up in a paper because it says use your calculator. And what do we know about estimations? It's coming up on paper 1, which is a non-calculator one. So really, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have included that question. I was just getting a bit excited yesterday, adding in all these estimating questions. Okay, last one. Use approximations to estimate the value of 37. I'm going to ask you guys in the chat now, what do I round 37 to? You guys are going to be my brains. What would you round 37 to? If this is you in the exam, what would you do? What would you do for the 37? 40. Excellent. What would you do with the 304? What would you do with that? Excellent, 300. And then finally, what would you do with the 58? This is great. I should do this more often and just get you guys to do it for me. 60s, yeah, excellent. Guaranteed, all of you there have put those numbers in the chat, you've picked up marks, okay? Even without having to do this sum, you picked up marks on this question. 4 times 3 is 12. Add the zeros in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Divided by 60. Okay, so what I'm going to do, get rid of the 0. So I'm going to be left with 1,200 divided by 6. Well, 12 divided by 6 is 2. Add in those 2 zeros that I temporarily got rid of, and I'm left with 200 smackaroonies. Okay, now, what will I put my foot on? Let me just go to the end. We've got some of you with 200. Yeah, excellent. Okay, good stuff. But like I said, if you're taking your time, oh, let me change the colour of that, and you're getting these numbers right, you are definitely, without doubt, picking up marks on the paper. And then if you go beyond that and get the final answer of 200, well, you've just took the examiner for every mark they've got on that question. You've just putting them, you can taking them off it, which is brilliant. Ooh. Guys, we're doing phenomenal. I'm impressed. I am genuinely impressed. We are now going to look at the final question or final topic that says area of a compound shape. Now, it's interesting because this says paper 2 and paper 3. These are both calculator topic or papers, aren't they? So feel free to use a calculator for these. Now, when we're working out the area, let me just reinforce what area is and the difference between area and perimeter. Area is the space inside of a shape, okay? So if I was to use my pen here, this is your area here inside of a shape, okay? The perimeter is the edge of a shape, okay? So the outside of the shape. So those lines give me the perimeter, okay? So it's really important. And I know you guys are like, Sam, I know, come on now, but we just need to be all aware. So perimeter is the edge, the area is inside. Now, when you work out the area, this is a compound shape. 2 shapes together. It's known as a compound shape where 2 shapes have been compiled together, essentially. Now, there's 2 ways we can do this. Well, no, there's one way, but there's 2 ways. Start again. By splitting this shape up, we are then able to work out the individual areas and then we can add them together. Now, you can either do it this way, by splitting the shape up like that, so you've got a shape here and then this shape here, or you could do a line down this way, and then you've got this area here, and then you've got this area here. It's completely up to you, whichever way you feel more comfortable with regards to the numbers you've been given, okay? But let's just quickly have a look at it. I'm going to do it downwards, okay? Now, this is what I do to help me. I label shape A and shape B, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to say this one's A, and I'm going to say this one is B, okay? In order to work out the area of a rectangle, it's base times height or length times width. It doesn't really matter as long as you know the difference. Base and height, so 3 times 7 is 21 centimeters squared. So I'm going to write that over here, actually. The area of A is 21 centimeters squared. Okay, for B, well, it's got, I know the height, but the width across, I don't know. I know all the way across is 10, but I don't know this bit here. So what I need to do is use my problem solving skills to work out this missing length. Now, what I do know is that, let me just use my little highlighter pen here, that this side and this side together add up to 10, because that side and the top up there have to equal this length here, which is 10 at the bottom, right? And if I know this bit is 3 at the top, then I know the missing number has to be 7, okay? It has to be. It can't be any other number, can it? So let me write 7 centimeters there. So 4 times 7, that's going to give me my area for part B or shape B. So 4 times 7 is 28 centimeters squared. So B, 28. What do you think I do now? This is the final bit, actually quite nice. We add them together because this area added to that area gives me the overall area, okay? So 1 add 8 is 9, 2 add 2 is 4, 49 centimeters square for the overall area, okay? And like I said, if you did it the other way, if you split the shape up across this way here, you'd still get the same answer because the area, no matter what, whichever way you do it, you will have the same, okay? Let me just quickly try and tidy that up there. So that's my strategy. Split the shape up into shapes we know, work out the sides, the base and the height, or the length and the width, multiply those two numbers, get your area, job's a good one, okay? Now, this is me taking it up a notch. We have a pentagon here, a 5-sided shape. Okay, what 2 shapes can I split this up into? What 2 shapes can I split this into? Refreshing. What 2 shapes can I split this into? A square and a triangle. Okay, I definitely agree with a triangle. I think it would be, yeah, rectangle. I'm swaying towards rectangle and a triangle, because if it was a square, it would be 5 by 5, like there, wouldn't it? But because we know this bit's 12, it's a little bit longer. But yeah, spot on. So I'm going to do that now. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Let's label this A, and we'll label my triangle B. Okay? See what I'm done? A, B, same process again. Now, let's deal with the rectangle first. Height of 5, and we know the width here is 12. All the way across is 18, but just to this point here is 12. So 5 times 12 equals 60 centimeters squared. So let me write that up here. A equals 60 centimeters squared. Now, this is the good bit. This is the bit where I get excited about, doing the triangle. Because it's my problem solving skills here. Area of a triangle, guys. How do I calculate the area of a triangle? And I'm going to do my little B working out space here. I'll put it in a little box. Base times height divided by 2. Base times height, and I divide it by 2. Excellent. Yeah? So now I know the formula. I think, Karen, you were typing that in as well. I'm pretty confident you were. I need to work out the base of the triangle and the height of the triangle. Now, you have to look at the triangle in a slightly abstract way. You might have to rotate your head, but the base is here, all the way down there. So, guys, what are you telling me? What do you think the base of the triangle is? I like that, Karen. A thumbs up. I do like a thumbs up. What do you think the base of the triangle is? Hey, it's Karen's fast fingers. It is 5. So I'm going to say the base is 5. Now the height is this bit here. That's your height here. So from that point to this point, okay, that's your height of the triangle, how tall it is. Now, if I know from there to there is 12, and then all the way is 18, what we say in this height is. This is your problem solving skills here. And like, this is the tricky bit for me as a teacher, because I know some students see it very quickly, and you've got it, you've got it. Now, some students do struggle to see it, and that's where it doesn't help me being online. But the answer is 6. It's the difference between the two numbers, okay? So 5 times 6, and then divide it by 2. So 5 times 6 is 30. Divided by 2 is 15 centimeters squared. So the area for B is 15 centimeters squared. Remember, we're going to add them together for the overall area, which gives me 75 centimeters squared, okay? And that gives you the whole shape, the area inside of that beautiful pentagon, okay? Now, I'm going to show you, I've got 2 exam questions for you to do here. I've got this one for you, and then I've got a pentagon for you guys as well. Oh my God, why have I made the question so similar to mine? Uh-oh. No, it's different enough. I didn't realize those numbers were so similar. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you an extension to do as well. This bad boy, okay? But I'm not going to give you any guidance for that. I'm going to let you problem solve that as an extension, okay? So you are allowed to use a calculator. There are 3 shapes I want you to work out the areas for. Show me what you can do. Get stuck in. Let me know once you're finished. And then hopefully by then it's approaching about 10 to 12 and we'll be able to have a nice lunch. Okay, guys, excellent stuff. I'm going to put a link back to Desmos now in case anyone's clicked off. But yeah, I'll shut up. I'll let you guys focus and I'll be back in touch shortly. Okay, guys, talk to me. How are we feeling with regards to this question or these questions? Now, the extension's a proper juicy question, but I've been thinking about, right, when this question comes up, how do I explain it? I genuinely have a really nice way of putting it together, and I'm going to try and make sense of it when I get to the extension. But in the meantime, we can go and look at these compound shapes. So I'll give another 2 minutes, because then that takes us to 10-2, and it gives hopefully enough time for everyone to look at these questions. If you have finished all three, double check your answers. Remember, we're doing the area, okay? So if it's a rectangle, base times height. If it's a triangle, base times height divided by 2, okay? So at 10-2, I'll tune back in and we'll go through these final 3 questions, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, guys, it is 10-2. So what I want you to do, bring your attention back to the PowerPoint. And this is like the bit where, you know, I've taken exam questions from a paper, screenshotted them, put them on the screen. Now, I like to believe these are worth 3 marks. Now, I did this on Tuesday where I snipped them. I can't remember exactly, but I'd like to think these are 3-mark questions, okay? Strategy, split the shape up into shapes we can definitely work with, okay? So 2 rectangles, label them up, because then that just allows your brain to focus on one part and then the other. So A, for example, well, A has got a width of 9, a height of 2. So 9 times 2 is going to be 18 centimeters squared. So I'm going to put that over here, 18 centimeters squared for A, 9 times 2. And then B, well, it's got a width of 4, but I need to work out the height. Like, I know all the way to the top is 8, but I need to know this bit here, don't I? That's the missing bit. So all the ways up there is 8. This bit is 2. So this one has to be 6 centimeters. 4 times 6 is 24 centimeters squared. Add those 2 values together and we get our total area. 8 add 4 is 12. 2, carry the 1. 1 add 2 is 3. Add 1 is 4. So it's going to be 42 centimeters squared. Okay, so simply try and process that question as best as you can by grouping them together. But I can see Amara, Karen, Darcy, Kate looking good there, okay? If you've got 24 or 18 written down, or what would the other one be? Would it be 32 maybe? 4 times 8, yeah? And then 32 and 10, that's also worth marks. So if you've got 32 written down, also good, okay? So different numbers there, different marks. This next one here, I do feel like I've kind of mugged you guys off a little bit because this was quite similar to my model example, but it can't really be asked in many other different ways. Got to split that shape up, okay? Now, it looks like a square, but we know this one's 12, that's 10. So overall, that's going to be 120 centimeters squared for shape A, because 12 times 10, 120. For B, okay, it's a triangle. So base times height, and then we divide that by 2. Well, the base is 10. I know that because this bit, this length, this distance is 10, and the height is obviously going to be the difference between 18 and 12, which is 6. So 10 times 6 is 60. Divided by 2 is 30. So over here, I can put 30 centimeters squared. If I want to work out the overall area, I add those two numbers up together. So 120 add 30 gives me 150 centimeters squared. Now, that is definitely a 3-mark question. But if you've worked out the area of the rectangle and you got 120, 1 mark, a second mark for 30 for the triangle, and then for total understanding of the question, for getting 150, you pick up the extra mark, the 3rd mark, okay? I can see some good numbers there, guys. Good stuff. Now, this is the final question. Now, I'm just going to look now. I don't actually know the answer yet. I've not worked it out. I've only got 2 answers so far, so I do apologise if I've not given you enough time. I'll go through it. I'm going to go through it because for those who have got answers, I don't think it's fair to keep them waiting and waiting because they might be twiddling their thumbs. But remember, we need to work out the shaded area, which in this case is the blue shaded area, okay? Blue shaded area. Now, all you need to do is work out the area of the rectangle, work out the area of the triangle, and then subtract them. So to know previously, we were adding them together, putting them together. This time, we're going to be taking them away, okay? So let's focus on the rectangle first. That's quite a nice, easy one to do, which we're all capable of doing. How do you work out the area of a rectangle? You know, base times height. So that's going to be 18 centimeters squared in there, okay? Now, the triangle is this bad boy here, isn't it? Remember, it's base times height, and then we divide it by 2. And we've got all the information we need, actually. The base is 20. The height we've been given here is 5. So 20 times 5 is 100. Divided by 2 is 50. So I know the area of the triangle is 50. The area of the rectangle, now this is the important bit. We need to get the blue shape by itself, the blue shaded area by itself. So we have to get rid of this 18, okay? How do we get rid of something? We subtract it. 50, take away 18, leaves me with 32 centimeters squared. And that little smiley face means jobs are good. Okay, so what did I do? Well, I worked out the area of the triangle, the big area, which gave me 50 centimeters squared. I worked out the area of the smaller shape inside of the triangle, and then I subtracted that away to give me my final answer. Okay, and it would be the same with this question here. I know, obviously, you guys can see this now. It's a square with a triangle inside. Okay, so you'd work out the area of the square. So 12 times by 12 would be 144 centimeters squared. And then what we'd have to do is get rid of this chunky triangle here. So what is the triangle? It's a height of 6. It would be 6 times by, oh no, it wouldn't. Let me start again. Uh-oh, 144. And then for the triangle, it's going to be base times height. The base, because it's a triangle, we know that would be 12. The height is 6. So 12 times 6 is 72. And then we'd have to divide it by 2. So divide it by 2 gives me 36. And then we'd have to subtract it to give me my remaining answer. So 144 take away 36. I'm going to use my brain here. I'm not going to use a calculator, as tempting as that is. 4 take away 6, I'm going to struggle to do. So I'm going to borrow from the left. Okay, that drops down to a 3. That becomes 14. 14 take away 6 is 8. 3 take away 3 is 0. 1 take away nothing leaves me with 1. So I'm left with 108 centimeters squared. Now, that's a bit of a juicy question there, really, and I may have rushed that at the end. I do apologise. I think I went onto autopilot at the end, so I am sorry if I went a bit too fast and a bit crazy. These two questions, though, can you see the blue shapes? They're on Century. I've taken those from Century. So if you're thinking I could do a bit more practice on those sort of shapes, get onto Century, compound shapes or composite shapes, I think they're called on Century. Have a look at them, because with practice and repetition, you'll develop the habit and the routine with what to do. But yeah, whenever you're working out the area of a shape, just consider what you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with a bigger shape and a smaller shape, put them together if you want the overall area. If you want a part of an area, you have to subtract, okay? But we are at the end of the session. we have arrived and we've fully completed it. We've done it all. We've covered all bases there. So that's really good effort. We've timed it just right. Any questions about anything that we've covered today, please just drop me a message on Teams. Like, I am genuinely so keen on getting you guys through and doing, you know, you guys having success. So anything you're unsure about, any questions about anything at all, maybe not about life or, you know, the universe, but anything maths related, I'm here to help, okay? It's been a pleasure as always. Thursday afternoon, 1 till 3 o'clock, we have our next session. So please just, yeah, if you can, try and join, and I'm going to make it as beneficial as possible, okay? But yeah, Karen, thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that. And everyone else, thank you for putting in the time and the effort this morning. I genuinely do appreciate it. I have enjoyed each and every one of these so far, okay? Right, I'll see you guys in a bit. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys Thursday, hopefully. If not, see you next week in college. All right, see you guys in a bit. See you, Grace. See you in a bit, Mo.